so welcome to Day Traders FX again. Just a little brief introduction for the sake of the recording. We have had this high demand since we use the Tradingview charts every day to answer some questions about them. So, I am not the best expert, but I've been using Tradingview myself for over 2 years, and I have absolutely nothing negative to say about Tradingview. I have absolutely loved the web-based platform. Everything gets saved. The alerts, the functionality, the convenience has been spectacular. So everybody is good. So Doug says yes. Anybody else in the chat room? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, excellent. Okay, so like I said, Tradingview's been fantastic, and I'm curious out there. So for everybody listening, has the switch, or have you been using the charting platform? I know they have a free version that you can just kind of dive into and sign up for a trial, or and in fact, let me just get this out of the way. If anyone is interested in signing up for a Tradingview link, that is actually a hyperlink for Day Traders FX, and all it is showing the creators and owners of Tradingview that we are showcasing and sharing the trading platform. Honestly, from broker platforms are fine, MetaTrader platforms are fine, but as far as just convenience and saving templates and setting up indicators and setting chart alarms and alerts and having everything come to you, this has allowed me to take a lot more time away from my computer. And so I just wanted to be able to share that with everybody. And Jared and I both, use Tradingview on a daily basis, so it's excellent stuff. So again, for the chat box in the GoToWebinar, there's the link as well. All you would have to do is click on that link, and you would sign up for it just like you would anywhere else. You basically create a profile. If I follow that link, let me use the little incognito window and follow that link. So it's just going to bring you to the website. It's going to bring up, I think, the SPX 500, and this is what their charts look like. So you can go through the tutorial, but we're going to kind of do that all today. All you're really looking to do here, if you want to use this link and get signed up, is click on this cloud in the upper left-hand corner, and you would sign in or join now. So if you're interested, I have a pro membership. I've had that for the last 2 years. It's like $150 a year, and I know what else is being charged out there for some platforms. Brokers obviously include that, but you're setting up live accounts with them, or they have their demo accounts, but it's different feeds. This is a direct feed, a live feed with FXCM charts, which I don't think it's much to argue, but FXCM probably has the best and most reliable feed in the Forex industry. Sometimes it's, it freezes a little bit, but that's when the broker freezes as well. That's during like crazy heavy news announcements. But I understand if everybody's just comfortable with their broker platform, and that's fine. But as far as analysis and what we use and ease of setting chart alarms and SMS alerts and getting emails and things like that on a regular basis, this is really straightforward. So if you're using that link, you can click on the cloud and join now. And again, all it's showing is if anybody does sign up through that link, it's just letting the company know that we are, we are sharing Tradingview with our members and with watchers and everybody else. So this will also be recorded. I'm going to send this email to Tradingview so they know that we are doing this, just because it's good stuff. So let's go ahead and dive into this chart. Now I started here with just a straight up price chart. I have added 0 indicators. And so as far as the Q&A, I wanted to kind of open everything up to kind of how we do things. What I'd like to kind of accomplish today is understanding how we add our indicators, how we adjust the parameters, all the tools on the left-hand side as far as, how we're drawing trend lines, or you've seen me probably draw freehand a ton on these charts. Jared and I have an interesting Picasso battle going back and forth, and I think my hand might be a little bit steadier, but it's probably just because he's way more mobile than I am. So Gerhard says not using Tradingview. Marcia says love it, but tend to use Talonx. That's fine. Lila says, could you please start at the beginning, how to get the chart up? Yeah, Lily, you're just going to tradingview.com. If you are using the link that I provided, then all you have to do is go into the upper left-hand corner, and there's a cloud in the upper left-hand corner of the chart. And this cloud is just where you establish a profile. So if you click on that cloud and join now, that's if you're actually signing up for there's a Pro and there's a Pro Plus version. I'm honestly not sure what the difference is between the Pro and the Pro Plus. I had this discussion with one of our members, Chad, recently. I just have the Pro version. I've had it for 2+ years. It's been an auto renew, and I've been liking it. Yes, I am recording it, Richie. Let's see. Doug's asking, is the cloud based so any computer we log into will save our work? Yes. So it is web-based, it is cloud-based. You can log on with your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, your tablet, and as long as you are signed into your charting platform, your templates, your charts, your trend lines, your alerts, everything will be saved, which is fantastic. And I don't know any charting platform that does that. Or if it does, it's certainly not a charting platform that is a price like TradingView. Okay, and Mark just posted in our chat box, there is a comparison there, so I'll share that link in the webinar, Mark. Thank you very much for that. So if anyone wants to see the comparison for GoToWebinar, you can copy and paste that link. So are you good on that, Lil, as far as where to start if you want to click on that cloud and sign in or join now? Or again, you can just kind of use them free to get comfortable with it. And so at the very least, that's what we can kind of accomplish today is, drawing our trend lines, using our tools on the left-hand side, setting a few basic indicators. I know that, there is talks, there is works right now happening between TradingView and Oanda that they are going to be putting out, through Oanda, they're going to be putting out a tradable platform, meaning you can use TradingView charts and you can trade through Oanda as a broker. That would be pretty revolutionary for kind of the first to market as far as a major broker partnering with a really solid platform like TradingView. So that'll be pretty awesome. Let's see, DTFX. So Jared is saying that 10 alerts allowed from TradingView, Pro Plus unlimited alerts. So I guess I have Pro Plus then, because I have like 50 alarms coming every day in my email. So yeah. Anyway, all right, so are we good on how to get started? If you follow that link, just click on the cloud and sign in. Or join now, and you can figure out the options. I would like to go back. I'll minimize this incognito mode. I'm going to go back to the blank chart or this clean slate, and let's just start from a basic chart. All right. So now I'd like to just kind of walk through some of the indicators that Jared and I are using. Mel's asking, does it work with any broker? As far as that partnering, Mel, no. And in fact, that's not finalized yet, but I know that it seems like the first broker that could be partnering with TradingView is going to be Oanda. But as far as the broker feed, FXCM's feed is kind of industry standard and TradingView follows that. So as far as the reliability of these charts, it is as good, if not better than anybody else. I know that some of our members have shared Talonex feeds, they've shared FinFX feeds, they've shared other broker feeds, and there's obviously some discrepancy. Some of your market maker type brokers that have ridiculous like wicks during news announcements, or the wicks may be 5 to 10 pips higher or lower. That obviously is going to happen broker to broker, but like I said, as far as the industry standard, FXCM is kind of set the bar, and TradingView does follow an FXCM feed. Okay. Let's see. Richie says, as soon as you sign in for a free trial, you get a link for a 50% discount being pro in a few days. Excellent. Even more of an incentive if you're interested in having unlimited alerts and emails and SMS and things like that for, look, Jared and I are going through how many charts on a daily basis. I mean, he and I basically talk every morning, and we're looking through 5 or 10 setups that we think are discussion worthy. Every Sunday, Monday when the market opens, we're going through. I go through 25 pairs on my own, and I'm trying to produce maybe 6 to 10 that look trade worthy, and we probably end up finding ourselves in 2 or 3 or 4, anything that looks really good. And I am, I'll just get this out of the way now. I am super perturbed about this week already. This week has been super annoying. Looking at kind of those areas, and I'm just forcing myself to numb myself to the annoyingness, and just wait for bigger and better confirmations, waiting for these next patterns to emerge, and all will be well. And my next pattern will probably make me $5 to 8 to hopefully $10,000+, and the little couple $100 here, couple $100 there will be a thing of the past. But it is certainly annoying on a week that we are saying we're not going to trade a lot, and having something like a hedge position and having both of them be negative. that kind of sucks. So anyway, enough about that. Let's focus on TradingView. Marcia says, so can one trade directly from TradingView? Right now, not through your broker yet, but that is coming. Like I said, Awanda is in the works with them right now, but I'm pretty sure if that partnership is established, it will open itself up to other brokers. But think of TradingView as for right now, just think of it as really, really solid analysis-based charting platform or charting software. Easy to go through all of your charts, easy to set a bunch of alarms, easy to do the work at your screens and then be comfortable with your work and be comfortable with the fact that you set price alarms above highs and lows and trend line breaks and indicator alarms. And so you're not glued to the computer necessarily, but you're notified when it's time to kind of take a look and possibly take some action and things like that. Let's see, Mario says, if TradingView uses FXCM feeds, why don't they trade directly with FXCM? That is a question for TradingView, Mario. So I'm here benevolently representing TradingView as the client / advocate. I am not TradingView. I'm not their executive team. So that is a question for them and FXCM. All right, but I'm just going to go ahead. Let's focus on the indicators. Let's focus on how to use this. You see Jared and I use this every day. Yes, so chart analysis, correct. And so what I'd like to do on our end as far as our indicators is let's talk about the things that we look at on a regular basis. What you're going to see Jared use or me use during any of our daily sessions. All right. And then we can go into any customized indicators. There's ways to overlay indicators. And I am not super savvy about the customization and overlay, but I mean I'll do my best to at least show you where everything is. And by all means, they have a lot of features now. With I saw that Mel is asking what language are the indicators written in. Mel, there is this Pine editor script that is very similar to it's very similar to MetaTrader script. So if anybody is savvy or wanting to code their own indicators, you can do that here using their Pine editor feature. Again, that's not my forte. That's not my specialty. I have people that do that for me, and I am happy to take. I tell them what logic I'm looking for. They create the coding and they create the line items, and all of a sudden, voila, I have a sweet little indicator. So, but anyway, it uses the Pine editor script, and that's something that you can play around with. They have strategy testers as well for back testing indicators. And if you go to their kind of their main page, if you first go into tradingview.com, every morning when I log in, let me see where the community is. Let's see where it is. Data window. I think it's in the social section. Chats. Idea stream. There's all sorts of... I'll keep it to my watch list. I'm trying to think every day when I log in. Let's go to just TradingView. It's probably going to... Yeah, right here. So when you log into TradingView, there's all of these other authors / traders that have followers and they have trade ideas. And so one thing that's really struck me as far as how good TradingView is there's tons of traders using tons of different tools and tons of analysis, and it is creating, I think, one of the best kind of technical based communities. And there's lots of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that some of these traders are better than others. I mean, we're here to run a trading group and educate everybody and do our best on a week-to-week basis. But anyway, it's a really it's a really big retail trader audience, which is fantastic. Okay. All right. Lil saying, how do you get to the charts from that page? From that page, Lila, just type in. If I go back to TradingView. All you have to do is type in a chart. So up here at the top, you'll actually see where you're typing in a specific chart. So for example, we were looking at CAD Swiss this morning. So if you type in CAD Swiss and hit enter, it'll take you to probably the last chart that you saved, but then you can just type in a new chart. Does that make sense? So let's do this. Let's start from that main page. If everybody's logging into this main page, you'll have your profile. You can sign in with a Facebook account, Google Plus, Twitter, whatever else, whatever social media outlet you link to this. You can go to your specific chart. What I'd like to at least have everybody aware of is creating a watch list. And so if I go back to my main chart here, I'll go back to that Aussie US dollar. And over here on the right-hand side, when you log in, I'm stuck there, says Lila, would you mind sending a screenshot in the member portal? Okay, you got it? Sweet. Doug's saying, I think Awena has it set up with their FX trade platform, something that looks just like it. Yes, that is correct. Yep. So yeah, but they're using the Tradingview platform and feed to do that. So let's start with the watch list, and then we'll dive into the indicators. All right. So over here, this top right-hand area on the right side of your screen, let me see if I can use a pointer tool, or I'll just use an arrow, I guess. Over here, on the right-hand side of the screen, just follow my arrow, or I can use that fancy GoToWebinar stuff. Let me highlight it. Okay. So if you can follow my little cursor, this tool section on the top bar should be the watch list. And so what I do, I'm just going to give you my shortcut Sunday. When I look at the charts on Sunday, when Jared and I talk every morning, this is what I look to do. I have everything added that I want to take a look at in my watch list. Now, I think by default, it probably gives you the major indices, the SPX 500, the SPY, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and probably several others, European and Asian markets, and that's fine. But I have added, by just simply clicking the add symbol and typing in specifically what you want to add to the watch list, every morning, this is what I do. I scroll down, and in alphabetical order, I have Australian Canadian dollar all the way down to my dollar crosses. So it goes all the way down to my dollar versus the South African rand, which is USD ZAR. So every day that I'm looking for trades, I come into my watch list, and so all I'm doing is clicking add symbol, type in the pair, the symbol that I want, and it's added to the watch list. So let's see, let's do some weird stock. Berkshire, let's see, Berkshire Homes, Hathaway. Let's do Berkshire A. I'll add that to the watch list. So it comes up, I click on that, and now it's the bottom of my watch list. So I've added a new stock. But when I come into my currency pairs, I have Australian CAD, or basically A through Z, but the ZAR is part of the dollar crosses. So I click on Aussie CAD, I have all of my indicators, I look at my setups, I say yay or nay to the trade. So my Aussie CAD, meh, I don't see anything. My Aussie Swiss, I don't see anything. My Aussie JPY, don't see anything. Aussie New Zealand, man, I really want to buy that Aussie New Zealand, but it's not ready yet, so nothing. Aussie dollar, I know we had some members that were buying on the gap a little bit this week on Aussie dollar. It's kind of setting up interesting, but anyway, we're not talking trades right now, we're just talking watch list stuff. So does this make sense? I'm just flipping through, and with my indicator setups, and it's a way for me to kind of spatially filter the markets. I can find my trades in probably 5 or 10 minutes at most. I can go through 25 to 30 currency pairs and try to filter out what looks good, what doesn't look good, what I want to watch, what trend line alerts I want to set, what price levels I want to watch. So that watch list to me is super handy. Are there any questions on creating something in the watch list to at least get this started? Okay. Linda says, what time frame do you use your charts in the watch list? Again, it's all customizable, Linda. So if I'm on the daily chart on the CAD Swiss and I switch to another currency pair, it'll stay on my daily chart. If I go down to the 1 hour chart, so by the live chart that you have on here, if you go down to the 1 hour chart and you switch on your watch list, it will remain on a 1 hour chart. So the time frame is completely customized based on what live chart you have on. Does that make sense? So if you're watching a 1 minute chart, for example, and you go to another currency pair on your watch list, it'll be a 1 minute chart. So oftentimes my filter is I'll start with a daily or a 4 hour chart, have my indicator base, and I'll go through that watch list. All right, Richie, that's fine. It will be available in the on-demand section. This will be a free video for you to check out, and it'll probably be around an hour or so. But I'm hoping I can answer as many questions as possible. Lila is asking how to create a watch list. Again, if you're here on this page, Lila, in the upper right hand corner, you'll see on the far right side of your screen there's a tool section, and there's a magnifying glass that should highlight watch list. If you click on that magnifying glass, it will bring up a little watch list like this. And all you're going to do is you're going to type in whatever symbol, whatever currency pair you want to watch, and add it. So once you type it in, you click enter, it will populate in your watch list. You can also drag the currency pair. You can drag it wherever you want. So I've dragged these according to alphabetical order, but if you want them differently, if you're more of a basket type trader, where you want all of your Aussies in one pair, all of your or in one section, all of your CADs and euros and dollars in another, there's ways to organize it as well. So you're just clicking and dragging to organize it. Okay, so that's the watch list. Excellent. All right. So I think as far as the basic stuff, signing up, creating a watch list, now let's dive into some indicators. So I'm going to go to this template that I have here, and this is, any screenshots that I'm posting in the member section, any screenshots you're going to see come through via Telegram with Jared and myself are going to have something very similar to this. So in essence, what we're using here, we are using pivots, and I'll go through those specifically. We're using a 200 EMA, and that's really it. And Jared, if I'm missing anything, feel free to type that in the chat room or jump on the mic. But really, as far as keeping the charts really clean, that is it. Now, I do have a hidden subgraph, and I use the momentum indicator, and I'll go through that in just a second. But when I'm filtering charts, these really are the three that I'm looking at. And I'll go through each one specifically, but pivots will include a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and a yearly. I use all of the major pivots. I don't use the supports and resistance levels. Those are already calculated as well, but I'm only interested in the main traditional pivot. All right. The 200 EMA is where, Jared has that indicator that's fantastic on MetaTrader. And so I just populate it so I can also measure the distance from the last touch to what we're looking at. Again, I kind of cross-reference MetaTrader to this charting platform, measure the bars, see where we're at, draw my trend lines, get my alerts on Tradingview, and look for those trades using our 15-minute setups or 1-hour setups on that 200 EMA. And then momentum is a subgraph, which means it's one of those bottom-like indicators that sets up on the bottom of the screen. So if I double click, this is my subgraph, and if I double click again, it hides it. So for anybody that likes to use oscillators, relative strength index, stochastics, awesome oscillators, who knows? I mean, there's hundreds of these indicators. I just like the momentum indicator. I've grown very fond of that one over the years. And I'm really selective with how I use it, but I have it here, but I don't necessarily need it to find trades. I mean, I'm much more interested now in, can I get a trend line break? Can I get a price pattern? Can I have some pivots that I want to see take some activity towards? Okay, Craig's saying, what are the bubbles that look like Earth or something with some numbers, like 2 by them? Where are you seeing that on my screen right now? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so Craig is asking about this on the bottom. This is the economic calendar. So these are world flags that represent whatever currency pair you're looking at specifically. This will coincide with a Forex Factory calendar, FX Street calendar, Daily FX calendar. Anything you're going to see in the news, they're going to populate here. So for the specific trading day or for the trading week, however long these pivots go out, you'll see that there are calendars kind of dotted along with the time factor. Yep. So it's just economic news. So for example, it's only one news announcement this week with the Brexit, but if you go to the euro pound, for example, you're going to see all of this peppered news, and it's all Eurozone news. So that's going to include your German assessments, any euro-based news, and all of your Great British Pound news. So it's pretty heavy over the next probably month. You can see all of this stuff in here, but obviously our focus this week has been more on the Brexit. Yep, so that's just economic news, but good question. Okay, Near's asking, how good are these pivots? They're pretty special. So, look, if you want a shortcut version of how good are these pivots, we can go through well, Jared and I can recall and recap, any week we've had that's been positive has been in some way based in trading, from a pivot or at a pivot or missed pivots. They're pretty special. So, for example, this dollar Swiss, we had a weekly pivot missed, weekly pivot missed, weekly pivot missed. We were shorting dollar Swiss up in this area. We had plenty of opportunity to manage, 30, 40, 50 plus pips. And then, of course, it came rushing down lower to fulfill and find all these pivots, which is why I'm not entirely, I'm not out of my dollar Swiss as far as my belief in this thing going higher. We have a nice weekly pivot up here. We've got some, extended conditions. And like I said earlier in the chat, I want this dollar Swiss to prove to me that it is going to not only take out this low, but also fail at a double bottom. So I'm really still bullish on this dollar Swiss unless a daily candle closes below 94.50. So if it takes out, this cluster over here or this daily bottom and does not form a double bottom, then I'll say, okay, I was very wrong on the dollar Swiss. But if it maintains this kind of sloppiness and it starts to push above 96.30, 96.50, 9700 like we talked about, this is my measured move going all the way back up towards symmetry and parity. And we're going to kill this trade. And I'm going to step on the gas on this one. I'm going to make some money on it. But like I said, if it falls lower, then okay, I was dead wrong. So anyway, but good question. Pretty special, Ron says, yeah, is an understatement. It is. It is. Pivots are fantastic. Okay. So like I said, pivots on 200 EMA and again, whatever else you want to use. I mean, I'm not saying that this template is what everybody needs to use. I just wanted to make sure that for all our members and for all of our newcomers that are browsing around today and checking us out, or anybody that's going to be watching this video, you'll start to see the repetition between our charts, our postings, our trade setups. That there's a combination of things that happen with these really simple indicators that help us make good decisions and help us be help us find the direction more often than not. Okay, so if we go into let's add a particular indicator. So let's talk. Like I said, we're doing pivots, and we'll do the EMA or the exponential moving average, and then we'll do a specific subgraph indicator or an oscillator if somebody wants it. Whatever you guys want. And I know that I've had a couple members reach out to me asking about Ichimoku clouds and other things like that. So, okay, so let's start with a pivot, shall we? So what we're going to do, Mark saying, can you take us slowly through the measure tools used for symmetry? Yeah, Mark, that's visually that's really easy to do using the box tool, and it's really easy to do using this measure tool. Let's go through these basic indicators first, and then I'll talk about the symmetry, okay? Near's asking, so how do we get this template? Well, if you're watching this recording with us, you can make it right alongside me. Or you can visit on demand and you can check this recording out. You can build this template right alongside me. Okay, so let's start with pivots. So on this blank slate, and in fact, I'm going to start with a brand new chart because I do want to keep this KISS template set up. That's just price only. So I'm going to go into a new chart layout, and this one is going to be only price. So delete this little momentum stuff, and this is only price. And we're going to do some pivots. So where we have our symbol, so our dollar Swiss and our time frame, you can change it from candlesticks to, I believe, they have different price feeds. I think they have a Renko bar. Yeah, so anybody that uses range bars, Heikin-Ashi candles, Renko bars, line bars, all that, Kaji bars, if anybody's even interested. We're predominantly using candles. I know that Renkos are super interesting with bigger patterns, and that just reminded me to, when we see some of these bigger movements emerge, I'm going to be looking at some of those Renko bars. But again, I digress. Let's focus on candles, and then going into the indicators themselves. So right up here, we're going to click on this indicator button. And we're going to bring up the kind of, we're going to populate all the indicators for us to choose and select from. Okay? So let's click on indicators, and again, we're going to pivots. So all we have to do in the search is type in pivot. And you can see that there are some options here, right? So we have tons of stuff in this public library. We are only interested in, as far as our template, in making the pivots, the pivot point standard, which is just a really simple high-low calculation. All right. Okay, so Eric's, so you're the one that's going to be looking at, yeah, it's Pine Editor, and there might be some forums in MetaTrader, like the MLQ5 forums. There might be some forums as far as Pine Editor, or I mean, if you browse around in the TradingView community, I'm sure that there is some help as far as creating those. There might be some stuff already ready. So yeah, okay. So yeah, Pine Editor script is what MetaTrader. It's not exactly the same, but I know that if you're savvy with MetaTrader, Pine Editor is not a difficult transition. Okay, so we're gonna go through this pivot indicator. We're using the pivot point standard. Okay, so all I did, if I clicked on pivot point standard, and you'll see the lines actually pop up on the chart. Okay, so now we're gonna go in and customize that indicator. So are we all following along? We good with this one? So just click on pivot point standard. You'll see that we have a bunch of lines pop up. Yep, thank you, Mark. And so we can close out this indicator window right now, and let's just focus on the pivot point indicator. Now, most of you probably by default will have a section right over here that will give you all of the indicators you have on your chart. And I have that as well. I just have it hidden because it's sometimes if I have a lot of indicators, I don't like it. So I just right click on my chart and I bring up the properties, which is at the very bottom of this menu. And this is considered one of the background features. So indicator title, indicator arguments, which is the value, or I'm sorry, the argument meaning the time frame, or you can show and hide it, you can format it, you can select those, and I'll click OK. That was just you should already have it by default. I just have it removed on my end. So this is the list of indicators right here. So right now we're only using one indicator. It is the pivots indicator. And we have it set up using the standard calculation or the traditional calculation, which is really simple. It's nothing more than a high plus low plus close, and you take the average of them, and you take that for the given day, for the given week, for the given month, for the given year, or you can even do intraday type pivots. You know, the given hour, given 4 hour, 8 hour, but you know then you're starting to get really small time frame stuff, which still helps for the day traders, but it's much more noisy like that. So anyway, it should all be here with the pivots. Traditional is what we're going to start with. So now we're going to jump in and format this. So if you can find this little menu, we're going to click on the spinning wheel, or where it highlights and says format. We're going to click on that wheel. That's our settings wheel. And now we have our options for the pivots. Okay? So our traditional pivots are fine. That's what we're using. You can also use classic. That's the same calculation. There are some variations of pivots. They are calculated slightly differently. I have not fully calculated them myself. I don't really know the exact difference. All I know is that across the board, I have for years used traditional or classic pivots. So I'm just going to keep it at traditional. Like I said, it's high of the day or week or month or year, plus the close, plus the, high, low, close, and you take the average of the three. So for example, we do a weekly recap. We oftentimes will calculate the next week's pivot, or at the end of the month, we'll do a next month's pivot. So we'll have some ability to forecast kind of those areas where we expect price to gravitate to. All right, so traditional pivot, totally fine. Show historical pivots, yes, we want to see backwards on our charts. We'll keep it simple right now with a weekly pivot. But what you'll see on our chart is we have a daily pivot, we have a weekly pivot, and we also have our monthly and yearly. So what we can do here on this particular blank chart is we can start with our weekly, and we can go back. Let's say we're going to go back a year. So we'll go 52 pivots back. That'll be 52 weeks in a year. And we can click on Style next, because we're not done yet. And now we can customize it. And like I said, because we only want to see one line, we're only interested in the main pivot. So this P or pivot is going to be the one that we want checked. The other ones we can uncheck because we're not necessarily using them in our decision making. All right. So if we uncheck S1, R1, we uncheck S2, R2, and we uncheck S3, R3. And we only keep the weekly pivot active. That's what we want. All right. Now you can make this as thick as you want, or you can make it as thin as you want, but we want it to be recognizable. We want to see that price is hitting it or missing it. So for the sake of the video, to make it really clean, I'll make it as thick as possible. And we'll go back to inputs to double check that we're going back 52 pivots. That's for the week. And we're making this very thick, and we only have the main pivot checked. That's the only one that we're interested in. All right, so we can save this as a default. So it kind of gives us a shortcut to using the daily, the monthly, and the yearly. Or we can just click OK and do it from scratch with a different pivot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on defaults. And if you click on save as default, it will save these settings for every pivot that you use. So I'm just going to click on save as default. You don't have to do this, but it's just a shortcut. And I'll click OK. Now, we're going to go right back in, indicators. We're going to type in pivots again, and we're going to click on the same indicator that we just got done using, pivot point standard. And we have to find that pivot point standard again and click on the settings wheel, because now we're going to make a daily pivot or a monthly or a yearly. We're going to have to do all of them in order to create all of those pivots. So here's our settings wheel. Let's now change the input to a daily. And we can go back, let's say 100 days. That'd be half a year worth of pivots. Yes, Mark, that was just for the weekly pivot. So that way I get an entire year worth of weekly pivots. But for the daily, I'm going to go back 100 pivots, because that would be, there's about 210, 220 trading days in a year. So I'm going to go back 100 daily pivots. I want to change the color of the daily pivots because we don't want them to be the same. So once we have our daily pivot time frame selected, still using traditional pivot calculations, we're going to go back 100 pivots on the daily. Now we're going to click on style. You can see that since we saved this as default, the S1, S2, S3, and respectively R1, R2, R3 are unchecked, which is good. That's a shortcut for us. And now let's just change the color. So we'll change our daily pivots to blue. And you can see that we have a bunch of blue lines that are now sprinkled in to our chart. So input, daily pivots, we're going 100 pivots back. Our style is blue, and we can click on OK. So now we have successfully put on a weekly pivot and daily pivots on this chart. We just have to repeat this 2 more times. It'll be quicker these times because we've got the template already made. We just have to jump right back into indicators, type in pivots, find our pivot point standard, click on the settings wheel. Now we're going to go into the monthly pivot. And this monthly pivot, we can go back 12 months because it's a year, right? We'll see the last year worth of pivots. Style, let's change the color. I'm trying to think for the sake of Jared, I know that what is your monthly pivot color? Is it green, or is that your weekly pivot? I can't remember. I don't want to make it too close to purple. Here, I'll just use this light blue. Okay, so whatever colors you want. I'm trying to think. I lost the custom or the template that Jared likes. This is what I've used for like 5 years. So I just default back to these, but I know that Jared has like a green indicator in here. I think for the weekly pivots he's green, and then purple for the monthly. But anyway, set it however you want. So I'll try to cooperate here. I'll go purple for the monthly, and I'll switch the weekly to green. There we go. So again, customize the colors however you want. That's totally fine. But we have successfully now put daily, weekly, and monthly pivots on. We have one more to do, and that is our yearly. So we go back to indicators, type in pivots, find our pivot point standard, and one more settings wheel. This one I'm going to make orange, and this is my yearly pivot. And I'd like to go back probably 5 years if I can. If there's that much data with these like daily, weekly, monthly charts, I'd like to go back at least 5 years. And again, you can customize this however you want to, but as far as our filtering and our process of finding trades, that's some really good data to have, at least going back on daily and weekly charts. So we're going to set the yearly pivot at orange, and it's nice and thick. And if I go to a yearly perspective, or using, for example, a weekly chart, let's go back a few more. Yearly, let's go back more. Let's go back 10 years. Yeah, why not? Get some data. Okay. So if we go back into our 4-hour chart, we're going to see a lot of lines. Now, keep in mind, we just filtered all of these pivots because we took off the S1, R1, S2, R2, all those calculated support resistance levels, we took them out. We're only interested in the raw equilibrium-based pivot. Make sense? So if you in fact, what I can do is in the member platform, let me take a screenshot of this. Actually, let me finish building this out, and then I'll take a screenshot of the indicators and all of the values, and I'll post that in the member section. So we've successfully put all of our pivots on the chart. Now we're going to go in and find our exponential moving average. So we'll go into indicators. We know it's an EMA, or exponential. So moving average exponential, we can find it there. If anybody likes, smooth moving averages or simple moving averages, here's all of the different moving averages. You have exponential, you have weighted, you have just the simple moving average. You've got all sorts of crazy ones. Smooth moving average I know is common. Again, we like the EMA. So the EMA, or the moving average exponential, we're going to use that. So if you click on the built-in indicator, it pops up over here. Click on that settings wheel, and our length is 200. Our style, we're going to make this red. We're going to beef up the thickness as well. So input is 200. We want the source to be the close of the candle before it actually calculates or adjusts. No offset, and then style is red. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want. And that's it. And you can save it. So now we have all of our pivots. Now we have our EMA. And now you can put whatever else you want on there. So I know that, I'll just do this very quickly. I'm not going to keep these on here. But I know some members were asking me about the Ichimoku cloud. You can find the indicator. You can click on it there. You can see that it does get a bit noisy to have, pivots and EMAs and trend lines and the Ichimoku cloud. But it's there. And if you wanted to adjust any of the settings, find your indicator, go into your settings wheel. You can adjust the colors. You can fill in the cloud differently if you want to. You can change the inputs on these. I have, Ichimoku cloud for the most part. I know that hedge funds that use them are pretty basic and standard as far as the calculations. Like I told Doug, I think earlier in the GoToWebinar chat is, Ichimoku cloud's great when you find a trend, but it is a pain in the butt, just like any other trend-based system. If you don't have a trend, then a trend-based indicator is pretty much a chunk of garbage. So find your price pattern, find your trend, and then your cloud can be your best friend. But to just blindly trade Ichimoku cloud or any trending system, I feel like you're going to find yourself in a heavy amount of losses for let's say you have 100 trades. You might find yourself losing 50-60% of them just because the trend is not always there. But when you have price patterns and you have these ongoing movements, the cloud, the trend lines, the EMAs, the SMAs, all of them work. Every trend is amazing, when you can find a price pattern that creates it. All right. So there's the cloud. I just picked that as an example. I'm going to quickly just go to this momentum indicator like I like to use. So there's momentum, and it's a subgraph. And so all I do here is I just change it to my length is 20, and my style I like to use blue and make it pretty thick. But again, this is for any customization. If anybody uses oscillators or stochastic levels or relative strength levels, awesome oscillators, alligators, whatever. There's all sorts of crazy mumbo jumbo names for them, but whatever you want to use, your subgraphs are down here, and you can double click to make them appear or disappear. But this is what you're going to see on a regular basis coming from my charts or from Jared's charts with the Day Traders FX screenshots. Okay, are we good on these indicators? Do we have any issues building them? I will take a screenshot of this right now. So new, save this template, and I just want to draw everybody's attention to the indicator list. And I'll save this as $Swiss indicators. I'll just put DTFX indicators, and let me post that. Yep. Yeah, Mark, the $Swiss is, yep. It's still, like I said, I mean, I'm all for jumping back into that thing above 9630, 9700, and taking, you know, what did we lose on that? 50 to 30, we lost about 75 or 80 pips. Look, the reality is we're measuring symmetry of 400 pips. We will destroy those pips when we get the right confirmation. But if this thing continues to bleed lower, or these Swiss franc pairs continue to be a pain in the butt, you know, we're going to get validation and confirmation above those levels, and we can jump right back in, and we can trade, you know, a much bigger area to add and completely erase and eradicate today's little loss and sloppy movement. Okay, so I saved that DTFX indicators. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so coming at you in the member section is the indicators there. So all that is just so you can see the attachment, and those are the values that I have for each indicator. Okay, so that's in the member portal now. All right, any questions on this template? Any questions on this, this chart? Any questions on how we got these indicators on here? Because if you built this alongside me, and you're signing up for some type of program where you can save templates, Mark, I'll go through that. I'll go through that later, actually, if you're, you know, super interested, because I do want to open up the questions for any specific indicator or any custom indicators. I know you're asking about one specifically, and I will discuss that, but I want to open it up for other questions first. So let's do this. I'm going to take, if you're in this with me and you're building this alongside me and you want to save this, up here where we started building this blank chart, it should be labeled as unnamed. Okay, so if it's unnamed, then you can just simply click on that and you can give it a custom name. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to rename it DTFX. And that's it. Okay, so we'll go DTFX or DTFX template, click OK, and now my chart is forever labeled that. So for example, just to show you how often I've used these templates, if I click on my little cloud over here, so you have the actual template that you're on screen with, you can save this chart layout, or you can just find your template elsewhere, load chart layout. These are all of the different templates that I have created over the last few years. You know, some are very specific to certain trades, certain time frames. You know, 5-minute charts, 1-minute charts, different moving averages, different combinations, all sorts of stuff in here. I have a ton of them, and some of them are more experimentation. Others are, you know, I've traded and you know, changed things up for different volatilities, and you know, it's just when you're trying to rework certain things or test certain things, it's fun to you know, mess around with them and set them up. But anyway, that's where everything gets saved, and so we have successfully created A DTFX template has daily pivots, weekly pivots, monthly pivots, yearly pivots, and so let me highlight those as I say them. Our little blue lines, because it's the least amount of time as far as the pivots, our little blue lines are our daily pivots. Our green lines are the weekly. Our purple lines are the monthly, and our big orange line is the yearly. So it makes sense that the longest line is the longest pivot time frame, correct? Mel says, is Jared's indicator available? Yes, that is the red line on here, Mel. So the red line is the 200 EMA, but I know if you're asking specifically, is Jared's indicator up here with the numbers and calculations? Not yet. I know that Eric says he's working on this for TradingView, but for right now, Jared's indicator is available on MetaTrader. If you want that indicator again, you probably already have it if you're asking, but just email support@daytradersfx for that 200 EMA indicator. All right. Okay, any questions on this template? Any questions on this setup when we have, Day Traders FX charts posted in the member section in Telegram? Oftentimes you're seeing this kind of setup. In some capacity, on some time frame, they're going to include this variety of indicators. If we're good on that, awesome. I would like to, I can start a fresh chart and I can start answering specific questions on indicators. But I'd like to turn it over to everyone else just asking some questions. Bo, I see. Let's see. Will is asking no charts. I wasn't sure what Will's asking there. Bo says, is there a fee to add missing pivots or? No, Bo. Not that I know of. There actually, if you type in missed pivots, there actually might be an indicator already set up. No indicator. It might be in the public library. Let's see here. Dynamic pivots, daily pivots, pivot point. There's all sorts of stuff in here that goes on. I think again, if you look hard enough, I know there's some indicators out there. I think Andrew Palladino, I know he has a few pivot things set up, or they calculate the next week's pivot, ghost pivots. I know that they're called. So there are some some subscribers that ask for you to pay for their indicators, but everything that I just included right here is all in the public library, so there's no fee for these. These can be created right alongside me like I did live today. Okay, so Bo, these are what I use, right? So when Bo's asking about missed pivots, look, I'm still old school. I mean, I'm saying, okay, Chris's eyes. Can I spy and spot weekly pivot, weekly pivot, weekly pivot? Okay, very interested in that trade. Weekly pivot, daily pivot, hasn't been touched yet. Price is in here. Mark was asking about the momentum indicator. I will give you a quick sneak peek of why I still want to look for a trade on this dollar Swiss. Because on this dollar Swiss, I think that if we go from a bullish looking pattern, that this is the area that needs to be the decision making zone, right? So if we make a decision to then go up, this is just a bunch of noise that we found ourselves getting kind of beat up in. But as long as this noise settles and we continue in the direction of this larger swing and movement, then we should plan on getting those confirmations and having hundreds of pips to the upside that we can come right back and capitalize on this dollar Swiss. Okay, so let me erase those drawings. And also with the momentum indicator, as price, like it did today, even though it hasn't closed, as price has made a low and a slightly lower low and a slightly lower low, what I want you to notice is that momentum is not making new lows, right? Momentum is actually making a higher low. So that disagreement we like to see. So that means price is going down while momentum is going up. There's a fancy phrase for that called divergence. It's also disagreement. All that means is that when this crap is over with, I would not be surprised to see the dollar Swiss go up. And so again, I'm not really surprised that it's doing exactly what it is today, just based on how much disagreement we're seeing on a decent sized time frame like the 4 hour. All right. So that's that's a little more specific to these certain indicators. But that's really what I'm looking for there, Mark, is I want to see, what is price doing? What is this momentum doing? And is there a noticeable or obvious disagreement between the two? And if there is, it just gets me to start looking for trades. It used to mean, okay, I'm just going to get in the trade. Now it means I'm validating, I'm looking. Now I just need some confirmation. My trading life has been made so much easier by just waiting for some price patterns to set up and emerge and trend lines to break, and it gets a lot easier that way. Okay? All right, so let me delete all these lines, normal, and get rid of that. Okay? So I hope that answers your question, Mark, on momentum. Bo, does that answer your question as far as what we're using? These are all public indicators, nothing fancy about these, but they can be used and they can be combined for some very powerful trading. Okay, so let's get to some custom indicators. So throw them out there. If anybody wants to see, I see that Jared sometimes will use, dollar Canadian, and then he'll compare it to U.S. oil. And so you can overlay the two. Right? You can overlay the two to see, what is the relationship. Or if I use the dollar yen and I overlay the S&P, so I will get rid of oil. Can we overlay the S&P? Is it moving in the same direction? A little bit more of a correlation that you see as the S&P has gone up on, this is a 4-hour chart, but as the S&P or the SPY has gone up, so too has the dollar yen. As the SP has struggled and gone down, so too is the dollar yen. But they're not perfectly correlated. It's just, again, kind of more macro themes, and definitely in the last year or two, I have seen a lot of these correlations get more out of whack than before. And there comes a point where the correlations are either going to tighten back up, they're going to start to, merge back together. And, but on such bigger time frames, that can literally take months and months and months. So there's an easy solution to that, which is go to your bigger time frames, use your larger trend lines or your larger time frame trend lines, and just be patient. Trades will set up. Look, I am so excited for the following trades for the rest of the year. I am going to make money. We are going to make money on this Euro New Zealand. At some point, I strongly believe that the Euro New Zealand is going to go up significantly higher. Whether that involves a lot of activity by the RBNZ, who cares? But my point is, I love the fact that this is a really nice looking pattern, and it's just a matter of creating that decision for us down here. So we go from a low to a high, and we form that higher low, and we just destroy this thing for, an offensive amount of pips and profit. But I'm looking forward to it, and it's just a matter of having the charts ready. Okay, so coming into this, this daily chart, getting a trend line and doing nothing until this trend line breaks. If I want to buy this currency pair, I should not touch this until it breaks this trend line. Okay? So, let's just, speaking of trend lines and speaking of alerts and alarms, I'd like everybody to make sure that they're comfortable if you're using TradingView. How do we set these alerts? How do we set these alarms? So this Euro New Zealand is a good example. I already have it drawn on my other template, but I'll go down to this 4-hour chart. And here is, this trend line, which is obviously a much bigger time frame type trend line, giving it a lot more breathing room. Or there's a slightly more aggressive trend line connecting the dots, and it still has to do a lot of work. It has to go sideways and prove that it wants to stop going down. So where should we really look to be trading our Euro New Zealand? On the right side of the trend line, on the right side of the trend line, do not be surprised to see price moving upwards in a bullish fashion. But until then, there's nothing to do. Okay? Unless we're just looking at selling, and, you know, again, this area was so crappy and so noisy that it took, you know, 5+ trading days to finally move in the direction that we planned on it going. And that, you know, that day was very sloppy on the Euro New Zealand's. And again, you know, I mean, I can sit and apologize all day long for these, you know, the 3 trades we've lost over the course of, you know, 20 to 30 winning trades, and we've taken 3 losses or however many losses. But, you know, our losses are few and far between. But when they happen, you know, we're big boys, we're all adults. We talk about trade size. So it sucks. I hate losing just like everybody else. In fact, I loathe it. But the reality is, it's going to come back in full and then some when we get the right direction, we get the patterns, we get the confirmations. All right, so on these trend lines that I have drawn, every indicator on this chart is now clickable for a specific chart alarm. So oftentimes you'll see us using price alerts. Oftentimes you'll see us using trend line alerts. So all you have to do is click on the object or click on the indicator itself. So if we want this object, which is the trend line that we drew, okay, I'm going to click on this trend line with my right mouse or right click on it, and you're going to add the alert. Now you can come into all sorts of fancy stuff. If you want to format that trend line and make it longer, you can extend the end of the trend line so it goes on to infinity, or you can just draw it how you have it, right? But all I'm really interested in here is clicking on the trend line itself and then going add alert on trend line. If I click on add alert on trend line, it will bring up this alert menu. And now we have a bunch of extra special options. Now, if you have an account, if you have a Pro version, a Pro Plus version, you have the ability to have emails and or SMSs sent to you when these alarms are triggered. And so that's all set up in your profile. You can put that in your profile from the very beginning and use that you know, text alert or email alert for these chart alarms. All right, now you also have some options on the crossing of the trend line. Craig, are you asking how much does it cost? The Pro version, I believe, is like $150 a year, $159 a year. And like I said, I've had this for 2+ years. I've had no issues about renewing that subscription, because this has been to me, it's been fantastic. So yeah, I think it's $159 for the Pro and then maybe $199 for the Pro Plus. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is. It's well, Craig, I know where you came from too, so it's definitely a good price. Yep. Okay, so let's get into these alert options. So you can use crossing, which is the probably the simplest version of the alert. So all it means is that price or the wick is crossing. That's it. Right? So crossing up, crossing down, that should specify that price is crossing up above the line or down below the line. All right, now greater than, less than, you can set this to the close if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, if I did greater than trend line, okay, yeah, so if you did greater than, less than the trend line, that means that the actual bar itself has to be greater than or less than the trend line. So for example, for those of you that are looking for price has to close above the trend line, price has to close below the trend line, then I would recommend you use the greater than or less than alert. But if you just want to be notified, keep it really simple, crossing. Okay? And you can extend the expiration time. I think they go out 1 month. So every default trend line alert or every default alert is set out for 30 days on the calendar. You can extend that out as much as 2 months. So I can extend this trend line alert all the way to August 22nd. It will send me an email and a text message. And if I'm at my computer or my computer is live, it will beep. It'll play the sound for me. It's super loud and it sounds like a bunch of alarms going off. But I can create it. It will populate over here on the right-hand side of my screen under alarms or alerts. And you can see that these are all of my active alerts that I've got right now. So there's tons of alarms that I have that are still active. And again, the limit is if you're on a trial or you're on a limited version, they only give you a certain amount of alarms. If you have a Pro or Pro Plus, you can have unlimited alerts. Okay. So also, in order to visually tell you that you have the alarms successfully put on your charts, if you zoom in, I'll zoom in on this trend line, you'll notice that there is a clock on the trend line. So that clock, and it's actually in bold, that means that is an active trend line alert. If this clock is there and it's faded, that means that the alarm has been triggered. And you can delete it or you can reset it, but it is an active alert right now on this 4-hour chart, Euro New Zealand, for this trend line. And so, look, I am super interested in buying the Euro New Zealand, but I'm not going to touch this thing until I either see a price pattern emerging or a right side of the trend line type setup emerging where we can start to massage a little position. We can start looking into this trade in the right area, and then we can look for our buys. But it's got to do some work first. Okay? Yeah, Linda says, hang on to your butts. Exactly. Okay, so any questions on setting a object-based alert? That's a trend line alert. All right. And now the other one that we're frequently using is just a simple old school price alert. And that can just be a right click anywhere on the chart. Anywhere on the chart. So for example, I'm not interested in buying the Euro New Zealand unless it gets above this high right here. It has to get above this high, or this high, or it has to break this trend line. So we have it covered with the trend line because we set our alarm. But if price all of a sudden turns around, probably won't happen, but if it does turn around and it takes out these highs, well, I'm interested in catching that as well with my alarms. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this high or this high, whatever one you want, and we're going to set a price alert. So find your cursor. You can see that there's a crosshair tool that's moving all the time. I'm going to set a price alert above this high, which is right around price point 6048. So if I right click on my chart, I'm going to add alert, and you'll go into a custom window again so you can set the specific price. So we'll just call it 1.6050. So I'm interested in price crossing that alert. The value has to be 16050. If you change the crossing to greater than, okay, greater than or less than, that means that the bar has to close above or below that level. So that means a lot. If some of you are looking and liking confirmation, that greater than, less than is really, really important, because that'll tell you that price closed above 6050, closed below 5,000 or whatever it is. Okay, but if it can't close above those or below those levels, that means there's not really confirming movement. So we're just going to set it at crossing 6050. We'll play the pop-up, play the sound, we'll send an email, send a text message, and we'll extend this out for another month. So it goes until August 22nd, and we will create the alert. And it should pop up over here again with Manage Alerts. Now you can see that a red line has been created, just like our clock was created on the trend line. Now we have this red line. So I'm trying to think, when we had the pound Aussie trade going, you can still see a bunch of my alarms. I had the pound Aussie way the heck up here for chart alarms. I had the pound Aussie way down here for chart alarms. So again, it's there to notify us when we're looking at trades, right? Okay. Any questions on those really simple objects? A trend line, a chart alarm, a price alert. You can do the same thing for, you can draw a trend line horizontally, and you can set the object alert that way as well. So add alert on trend line, crossing above or below. You can do the same thing with a horizontal line, which is essentially just like a price alert. So if you set a horizontal line and click on it, you can add the alert to that. So again, you're just using the same objects over and over to get your information, right? Any questions on that? Any questions? All right. So the way I see it right now, we've been going for about an hour. I'd like to give, maybe another 10 to 15 minutes. Anybody have specific questions on indicators? I can give my 2 cents on what the indicator does, how we can put it on a chart if you want to look at it on a template, or if you want to look at, can I measure a trend line, or I'm sorry, can I measure an indicator? Can I set an alert on that indicator? And we'll go in and try to do that together. Otherwise, I mean, look, this charting platform is there for your experimentation as well. If you simply, find your indicator, set it on your chart, and you click on it, if you click on this 200 EMA and you add the alert, right? You can apply an indicator on you can double lay the indicators if you want to. That gets a little bit more convoluted. It's like a lot of indicator alignments. Or you can just simply add the alert where the value is right now. So the value right now on this EMA is 97.12. So you would set the alert at that exact value. But it's the same thing as just setting a horizontal level. It really is. So using the price alert or the object alert, it's going to accomplish the same goal. So I know when some traders get super caught up in like all these bells and whistles with a charting platform, it just, to me, it gets really noisy and messy. I'm keeping this, hopefully as simple as possible. Okay, so Linda says, nope, all good. Helpful. Craig, any questions? Mark, any questions? Anybody else that's tuning in, any other questions? I'll just, again, I'm here to help. If you have any questions that pop up later, I'm more than happy to stay active in the chat box for a little bit. But this will be recorded. This will be posted. You can build this template right alongside us. And again, with this video, I will also put in the description box and on demand. I'll put in the TradingView link if anybody's interested in signing up. Again, it's just to let TradingView know that they're getting some love from us at Day Traders FX. Okay? Okay, sounds good. All right, Craig, I'll take a look at that, okay? All right, well, if that's it, everybody, then thanks a lot for tuning in for this extra little segment on TradingView. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, you'll see us using it every day. So this is not like something that we just do today and all of a sudden it's like, wait, what'd you guys talk about that for? We're going to be using this every day, and we're going to be filtering out trades. Like I said, my weekly routine, my daily routine, come in, find the time frame I'm interested in for the morning and just literally browse from A to Z and see if I've got any setups. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop the recording. Thanks for being with us, and this will be processed and put in the on-demand library, so you can check that out, ondemand.daytradersfx.com, or you can use our main website, daytradersfx.com, click on the on-demand section, and even the old members portal, even though we have an ugly button at the moment, you can click on this on-demand button and also get to the on-demand library. So this video will be complimentary for streaming. It's going to be just over an hour, probably an hour and 10 minutes. But thanks a lot for tuning in. We will see you again tomorrow for a daily dose. Let's get this Brexit garbage out of the way, and let's get some clean trading underway for the next couple weeks. Let's make up for these silly little losses and this sloppy little movement. And I am certainly looking forward to the next tidal wave of profits for us here at Day Traders FX. Okay, all right, everybody, have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.